When last we left you, Jonas Valanciunas was a Nugget. Funny story. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe that is true. What is true? What are rights to a player? We'll talk about it on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day, being with us all throughout the offseason. Appreciate you guys being in every day or hanging out with us Monday through Friday and being part of our community. We do appreciate you joining us. Whether you're listening to us on podcasts, checking us out on YouTube, joining our live shows, youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets is where you can find us there. We do appreciate each and every one of you, especially through the summer and into the offseason. On today's show, we'll talk about the Jonas Valanciunas situation and how crazy it is and how wild it is and what exactly is going to be the outcome here. As word did come down on Sunday, the Nuggets are not planning on letting Jonas Valanciunas out of his current deal. We'll talk about the ramifications of that, the ethics of that, and all sorts of other things today on Locked On Nuggets. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I write a Substack called The Denver Dig that covers all things Denver Nuggets. Have a piece up about the Jonas Valanciunas situation. This man's got several pieces up about the Jonas Valanciunas situation. He's Ryan Blackburn from Mile High Sports and the Pickaxe and Roll podcast, where he broke down a lot of this stuff over on that channel as well, if you want to hear more about it. Ryan, let's catch people up in case that they've been enjoying the holiday weekend as they should.
Yep.
So, Nuggets trade for Jonas Valanciunas. Hooray! They got the backup center. It's all fixed. Everything's great.
Huge.
Then the European reports start coming out. And I'm going to, do you have the pronunciation? I never can pronounce this name right.
You know what? I got in trouble on the other show for butchering the pronunciation, and they called me a racist white American. So I
see the Greek fans have found you. That's why that show is good.
Let's go Panathinaikos.
Panathinaikos. I'm going to call it PBC.
Cool. I'm going to call it Greece.
Basketball club. So we're going to just call it PBC.
Cool.
PBC wants Jonas, and they wanted him last year. And he has made it clear through his people that he was going to go and he was going to sign with them. And that's what he was going to do. But you can't do that. If you're under contract to an NBA team, if you ask why can't you do that to an NBA team, it's because you need something called a FIBA letter of clearance. Shout out to Keith Smith, who had a really great breakdown about this on the Sasha Vazenko situation last year. FIBA's got to work with the NBA, and the NBA's got to work with FIBA, and they all want to be basketball organizations that work together. And in order for that to happen, you have to have things like, hey, our guys can't just leave their contracts dead and go play for your clubs. And so you have to get that FIBA letter of clearance. Otherwise, you can't legally participate in these games. So you need the Nuggets in order to be able to buy you out, waive you, provide that letter of clearance so that you can go ahead and accept what sounds like a very lovely life in Athens. It sounds like a very lovely life. The beaches are south of there, I learned today, and they do look pristine. So that's all kind of hanging out there. Stein's reporting like he's going to go. No one really knows. Then it comes out the Nuggets are going to go ahead and go through the trade. They're going to complete the trade. That paperwork has still not been done because I think that they're still trying to I think they don't want to do the deal and then I think they want to resolve the situation and then do the deal. Also, probably hard to do a physical on Jonas Valanciunas when he's in Lithuania. Yeah. So that's kind of a problem because he's over there for Eurobasket. So that's an issue for them for getting this deal done. Now, on Sunday, Shams Charania reported what had been indicated to Stein previously, which is that the Nuggets are not planning on letting him out of his contract. If I do want to run down these scenarios. If the Nuggets were to just waive him, they would eat the $10 million on his deal. They can waive the non-guaranteed on the next season, but they would just eat the $10 million for this year.
Non-starter. That's not
non-starter. Yeah. That would just be dead cap space. They're not going to do that. Yeah. Jonas can agree to give up the $10 million this year, and the Nuggets can agree to let him out, and then all of that money comes off the cap. If they agreed to 1 year versus 9 given up, then $1 million would go on the Nuggets cap, etc. So those are kind of the options for Jonas to get out. If the Nuggets decide to not pursue any of these options, they can just be like, nope, we expect you to honor your contract. And there's not a lot that Jonas can do. This is about hard leverage, which the Nuggets have, versus soft leverage, which Jonas has. And that's kind of catches everybody up. Did I miss anything in that description of this?
No, I don't think so. I think it's important for people, especially in a players league, to understand that soft leverage that Jonas does have, it has translated in the past before a lot of times where guys say, I don't want to be here. I do not want to play here. And depending on how hard they are willing to go in terms of pushing that envelope, the teams are not wanting to deal with that. But clearly the Nuggets made the trade for like Darius Saric for Jonas Valanciunas because they expected Jonas to play, because they expected him to be a very important piece of this rotation that we have talked about before. So I will say, not a fun position to play, the backup center position behind Nikola Jokic. So I can understand Jonas's issue potentially with playing that particular role. So look, it is what it is. Nuggets fans have to understand that this is more delicate than I think has kind of been reported on the American side of things, where everybody's saying, oh yeah, no, they're not going to let him go. Well, I don't necessarily think it's that simple. I don't think that, like, usually when guys want something, they get their way. They eventually get their way, even if it takes a little bit of time. So the Nuggets are hoping it kind of goes the other way, where he basically says, okay, cooler heads prevail. The Nuggets kind of give him the opportunity to say, look, if you want to go in a year, we will allow you to go in a year. But for this season, we really need you. That's a thing that I think that they are trying to work through. So it's a tough situation. I don't think that this is an easy one. By the way, who are the agents for Jonas Valanciunas? That is Jeff Schwartz of XL Sports and Michael Tellem. So
hey,
let's keep that in mind.
Hey, who does Jeff Schwartz represent, Ryan?
Only half of the Nuggets organization, including Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Very, very important and powerful person surrounding the Nuggets.
Before we take a sec, I want to just go ahead and actually, we'll talk about this. I'm going to talk about. We're going to get into the ethics. I love ethics conversations, so we're going to get into the ethics of this, and we're going to talk about it both from an ethical standpoint and from a pragmatic standpoint. We'll talk about that from all angles coming up here on Locked On Nuggets. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, WNBA, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why make it more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game with your friends while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. Hey, do you want to go bet on PBC to win their league? You can do that because they might have a really good player coming. That's exciting for them. You can get in on the odds of that. The Nuggets have shot up the odds boards. They are between 600 and 800 to win the NBA title in the market. Very interesting that there's a lot of confidence this Nuggets team is going to be as good as we've talked about them potentially being. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Okay. So there's a couple of things to look at this because Hurricanes are already like, ethics be damned. What's the best move for the team at 25-26? Okay. So first thing I want to say is that we do not know Jonas Valanciunas' motivation for going overseas. We don't know that. And I want to make it clear that until we know those reasons, we should not talk about them the way that we were talking about them. This is a major life decision that he's making.
Yeah. Once he leaves, he's gone. Like, he'll never be able to come back.
Probably. And so if that's the case, that's a pretty huge decision. And we don't know if the decision was like, there might be a personal situation that is causing him to need to go there to be closer to overseas, and he's not going back to Lithuania, right? He's going back to, he's going to Greece, but there might be a reason that he is in a position where he needs to. And I don't want to just obliviate over that. I don't want to make it into like, he doesn't want to back up Jokic. We don't know how he feels about that.
Sure.
He hasn't given an interview. Like, we don't know if it's about fit. We don't know if it's about coaching. We don't know about anything in that. So, well, So that I think this is the reason the ethical stuff. If you want to say like the ethical stuff doesn't matter, Matt, it's about business. You're absolutely right. We as fans, though, get to talk about things in more than one way. Wade says Jonas is being less ethical by not honoring his contract. If there's a personal situation, then sure, but if not, keep him. Okay, but him being unethical by not honoring his contract does not mean it's the ethical thing for you to retain him. Just something to keep in mind. It does not justify your unethical behavior because he's engaging in what you feel is an unethical behavior by not honoring his contract, which I think he should.
Is it an ethical decision to bring back Russell Westbrook? Like based off of the way that his situation went and how like strong of a star he is in the NBA? I think it would be the ethical decision. That doesn't always make the difference.
So let's do this. A lot of people are doing this. Good for the Nuggets to play hardball. Chugel channel says he screwed Denver. Okay. So here's the thing. Here's the question. Okay. The Nuggets can take this position. I mean, look, he signed a contract to play for the duration of the term of that contract. Yeah. If he did not want to play those years, he should not have signed that contract for that duration. However, when you start going into good for them for playing hardball, this is where I will tell you that you are probably not thinking long-term about what's best for Denver. The reason that these teams always fall over, that they always break, is not because they're all soft, weak human beings. It's because of the calculated risk and cost of those decisions. If you do this, you are saying you're making a statement about how you treat players that you've acquired under contract. You're right to do it. You have the right to do it. Okay? You have the position. You have the high hand here. But you have to make a real long... Now, if I will be very clear on this, if Jonas Valanciunas is like, no, I want the money and I want out. Come on now. Right? But we don't have any indication that that's the case.
The indication was that he would be willing to give up all of it, right? Like that was what the reports are basically saying, is that he just really wants to go. So if that's the case, and it's not about money, it's really about situation, it's about something else that's within his life, then who are any of us to like hold him back from that, other than the fact that there's a legal document that is preventing him from doing so?
Smith says it's dumb to force a player to be here when he doesn't want to be here. I kind of agree with this from the perspective of, this is what I said today on the dig. It's just like, look, locker rooms are delicate. It's 15 people in a room for 6 months, traveling, all of it. These things get in the way. It gets in the way. The healthiest locker room I've ever seen in Denver was 2023 because everyone was paid and everyone knew what they were there for and everyone wanted to be there. Nobody was in a position they didn't want to be in. Since then, a lot of people have been in positions they didn't want to be in. And Jonas would be in a position where he doesn't want to be there. He would just be coming to work because he has to. And I don't like saying like held there against his will, because that's not accurate. His will was to sign the contract. He understood the terms and conditions of that contract. There are benefits, though, to letting him out, which are not things that fans are ever going to see. We'll hear about it. We'll see it. We'll feel it when we walk in the locker room. Like, these are very real things that I think, and I'd like your perspective on this, Ryan, because I am old. And so it's been so long since I can remember this, but I just remember being really surprised by how different it was to cover teams day to day and the human side of this and how much that impacts things more than I thought when I was just a fan or an analyst or a writer.
Yeah, it definitely, the world sort of opens up to you the more you allow it to, and the more you kind of get ingratiated into what is going on. Just from the perspective of learning about Michael Porter's back situation, for example. Like there's just a lot of things. Like we heard about Aaron Gordon's off-court potential issues, like not like issues, but like things that were happening off the court that were hurting Aaron Gordon at various points. And so it becomes more human in that regard. It's certainly like there are certainly situations, and then because you want as a fan and you want as like a an objective analyst, somebody who has to cover it the way you're supposed to. You want to look at what you're seeing, make a call, and then use additional data that you get to kind of adjust your priors. And one of those adjustments that we often get is the behind the scenes, where you start to realize, oh, that guy just got broke up with by his girlfriend. Or, oh, there is a dispute that is going on behind the scenes. And so we may hear about that stuff. We may not hear about that stuff. There's a lot of times where we don't hear anything, and guys just keep it bottled up, but they might go through a slump, a shooting slump, and you're like, hey, what's going on? And they can't really tell you, or certainly don't want to tell you about certain things within their private life. So that's a factor that I always try to remember, or have had trouble remembering in the past, and have now tried to put that a little bit more at the forefront, especially kind of learning what Aaron Gordon was going through specifically.
Comment from the comment section. Jonas should have told the Nuggets he didn't want to play in the U.S. and asked for a buyout. There's no excuse for his going to Greece without telling the Nuggets and doing dirty, underhanded wink deal. Well, again, he can't really do the dirty, underhanded wink deal because he's got to get the FIBA letter of clearance. And I will say this, the fact that he is going, like, he's going for Eurobasket. Like, that's like, he's on his way to Lithuania to start training for Eurobasket. And I'm not saying that it's like coincidental that he showed up in Greece to do his medical stuff and do all that kind of conversation. But I think he wanted to have like a real probably discussion and like for a whole full talk of what is this going to look like? How much will you pay me and to help me out with the buyout, etc. Those type of things in order to facilitate the deal. Because I do think it was notable to me, Ryan, that this deal that's offered is not a huge moneymaker for him. I assume that this was like, oh, they paid him something insane. And then at that point, you kind of have to be like, I really would like to take this deal because it's so much money. Like that, I actually kind of understand.
Let me correct a little bit, because the 10.3 million is USD. It's US dollars, and you're in US taxes that are kind of being forced upon you with that. So how it's been explained to me is that that's about 5.56 million or so that you're getting back after taxes. Whereas for the athletes in Greece and for these large EuroLeague teams, they get those after, like they get 4 million after taxes is what's been described to me. So it's not as drastic of a change in salary for somebody like Jonas, who has made a fair, sizable chunk of change in his entire NBA career. And he also gets the stability of playing a large role, playing on a contender, playing closer to home, things like that. So I can understand it from that perspective of why he would do it. And the money, while it is more in the United States, it may not be as more as has been kind of bandied about.
I'm cracking up because Jason Frediescos is saying we are just being petty, forcing a player to stay with us who doesn't want to be here. Let's use logic. What we really need here is we need to get the Russ stands and the Jonas stands to fight each other over this. Like that's what we really need here.
I mean, I've got the Facu stands on speed dial. Like we can make it happen. There's plenty of fan bases I think would go to bat for their guys.
I want to be clear on this too. Noah Linden says it's just bad form to break your contract. He's not, because he can't. Like there is no mechanism for him to do this. He can, if he sits out, like let's say that he's just like, well, I'm not coming. Okay, well then the NBA is going to fine him, and that comes out of his paycheck. So he then is not earning PBC money, and he's not earning Nuggets NBA money. Like he's losing the money he's already owed. And he's not earning the money from PBC unless they're doing it under the table. And I will totally cop to not knowing anything about anything FIBA and like the restrictions on like finances and stuff. I have no idea. I have no idea about any of that stuff if it's possible. But it's unlikely that he would miss out on that. So like he can't just break the contract. He can't do it. And I honestly don't think somebody mentioned this in the comments too, that like he's never done anything like this, and he hasn't. Like this is very unlike him. This is very, like, Jonas has always been a pro. Showed up in Memphis, played well. Showed up in New Orleans, played well. Showed up in SAC, played well. Like, he's done his job. That's who he's been consistently. So I'm not sure what is going on, but that to me was notable that this is like very out of character for him.
We've got a visitor in the comments who's never been here before. Swipe Us says, I have a question. What would you like to see Jonas play or use the MLE elsewhere? Maybe we should answer that on the other side.
On Locked On Nuggets. Good job. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. So Ivan wants to know if we'd rather Jonas play or use the MLA for somebody else. I understand how much everybody wants Al Horford. I would kill for the chance to cover Al Horford for a year. I would just love the opportunity to cover Al. He's been one of my absolute favorite guys in the league. He's been in the league as long as I have, in terms of like, not in the league. He's been actually playing professional basketball while I've been sitting on the sideline watching it and writing about it for the exact same amount of time.
That's why.
And I was a huge advocate of Al before he went to the Celtics. Like, he was great in Atlanta. That dude has missed the playoffs twice in his career. It's insane.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a great trivia question. Which years were they? Like,
the OKC and Philadelphia years is the answer.
Oh yeah.
It worked in one, and OKC was just, they were letting him rest and get healed up from injuries.
Yeah.
One team couldn't figure out how to win with him. One team, one particular squad led by one particular player couldn't figure out
to be fair, they had like 17 different power forwards in their starting lineup. So I get it.
There's nobody left to give the MLE to.
Other than Al.
There's nobody left. If he goes to the Warriors or Lakers or retires, because that's apparently like his decision tree. If they get him, great. Awesome. Fantastic. I'd rather have Al than JV. No question. If that happens, then you just, sure. No problem, JV. We're good. Other than that, though, there's nobody left on the market that I would want to give this money to. No, sir. You got to be out of your mind. He says Beal?
It's not the worst to have another ball handler and creator on the roster. Not the worst thing.
I mean, what is Beal? Okay. I'm trying to think this through. I guess if you want to, I would want a 1-year deal though, because like,
oh yeah, I think Beal would want a 1-year deal. He would like, you know what? I'm going to go 1-year MLE, maybe 2 years with a player option, and get back out on the market and make back up the $13 million that he's giving up to get the $100 million buyout.
Yeah, I mean, so look, I think Bradley was underappreciated in Washington. I also think Beal just might be cooked.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it might be done in terms of him being an impact guy. I do not see him having like a late career renaissance moment. Defensively, it's a big issue.
Small guard.
He fits a lot of the needs. I get that. I would be okay using some of the MLE, but if you're not going to use all of it, I don't know.
Well, so they can't use all of it. That's the other factor here, is that people are still like ignoring the salary cap aspects of this thing. They have like 13 million that they can give up. So it's most of it, but they could give that to one person or they could give it to two people.
I do not care about his points per game, Daniel. I do not care.
Yeah, the other thing is that for that particular Suns roster, he had to score. Like that was the requirement. They didn't have the financial capacities for anything else.
Now, if you told me that they would split the MLE and get Beal and Tristan Vukcevic, okay.
I like Tristan. He's a name that I threw out there yesterday. Like, I can't believe that Washington's just like not going to bring him back. It looks like.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. He's very good. Not very good. He's good.
He had but he's like 21, 22.
Yeah, he's so young for sure.
Doesn't have to play every night for Denver. Like, I think that would be a great kind of pivot if they had to. But what about Vooch?
If he gets bought out?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Seems like a pretty obvious fit if he was willing to be the backup.
Yep.
Sure. But outside of that, and outside of Al, it is pretty dry. I will say that for sure. It's pretty tough. I'm not sure how.
I don't know what not using it does for them.
Oh, you get under the tax. Get out of the repeater.
Yeah. I mean, for the fans.
Oh, sure. They don't give it. They don't care about that.
That's why.
Or should they?
That's why. So R&M Short says, go get Batazze. Here's the problem. I don't know if there's a mechanism to do that using the MLE.
They can. They can. So that's something that was added to the most recent CBA. You can use that MLE as like a trade exception, a traded player exception to acquire somebody that is within that number. So if they wanted to save Orlando $8 million and not have to pay him, like that to me is a great option if they were able to do that. Another guy that could make sense for that, Kelly Olynyk on Washington. Probably cooked, but like also free if that was the case. There's some other names that I think you could fit into that from like Nick Richards, Andre Drummond, some names that I brought up yesterday, but that is a mechanism for which they could make a deal.
Would you rather have Beal on part of the MLE or Cole Anthony on the minimum?
Ooh.
I think I'd rather have Cole on the minimum.
I think I would too. I think I would too. He was put in a pretty tough situation having to start in the playoffs without Suggs there. But like he is a good kind of spark plug off the bench. That is something that you would want him to do. And also there's no issues with adding somebody of that caliber because he knows what he's coming into for that situation. Whereas Beal, I think, would have some preconceived notions on what his expectations would be.
Ken does mention that Vooch and AG were teammates for a long time. It's a good point.
Oh, that would be great. Look, man, if you could get the Bulls to make another dumb decision, which they've been wont to do, like they've been doing it, I would love Vooch here. That would be great.
So Max says, you guys are crazy. Beal's better than Anthony. Okay. Do you guys realize how bad the Suns were? Like, do you guys understand how, and you do understand that literally everyone was like, what's the problem? And they all were like, it Beal. Like everybody was pointing at him. Like he's the one that got demoted to the bench. Okay. Now, again, I think you're not wrong that Beal's better than Anthony. My problem there is like Beal's going to come with expectations of his playing time, his minutes, his role. Like Bradley's been a star in this league. Like he was the best player on that Wizards team. And if you're like, yeah, go in the Wizards. Okay. Well, he was the second best player on a team that made the playoffs like 6 years in a row in the mid 2010s. Like,
OKC fans have showed up. They are here and they are letting us know that OKC would play Valanciunas off the court after 3 possessions. But that would be 3 possessions that Denver did not have from the backup center position in the playoffs.
That's true.
And also, like, he is just like, people have to realize this is a regular season thing. So the Jokic gets to play 32 minutes as opposed to 37.
I'm really fascinated because we've got Greek fans advocating for the rights of Jonas Valanciunas as if he did not sign a contract. We've got Westbrook stands. We've got Beal fans. We've got Thunder fans. And we've got Russ fans. It's absolutely amazing.
We got a pop and chat tonight. This has been great.
Rainbow Coalition here on Locked On Nuggets.
Say something controversial for 762 people.
I think I already did by being like, I'd rather have Cole Anthony than Bradley Beal.
I don't think that's that controversial.
Beal was 22nd percentile in defensive EPM last year. He was 67th in offense. Not bad.
I can't imagine Cole was
first percentile at the rim. He shot 69%. Shot 50% from mid-range. 88th percentile. And he shot 39% from 3. Like the shooting's still there. He's still a scorer, but like just in general, like and honestly, here's one thing I will say on that. There was a report, how true it was over the course of the last year or so, I'm not sure, but that the only team or one of the only teams that he would waive his no trade clause for was for the Denver Nuggets. I don't know why that is, but like if that is something and he just wants to be here, then maybe there's something to it. Yeah, I mean, and he probably, again, if they were to grab Beal, I would be like, hey, it's a good move. It's, I think it works. If we're just talking about options, like Beal is not a guy that I'm like, no, right? Like, do not want him here. Like Miles Bridges, I do not want Miles Bridges here.
Ain't no way, dog.
But Beal, I would think like would be helpful and would be good. And I do kind of go back and forth on this of, okay, so if we live in the reality that if we do not hold the Kroenkes to what they should do, which is like, I just do not care. You have Nikola Jokic, you're going to be in the repeater. I'm sorry, deal with it. Sometimes owning a good sports team is expensive.
Them's the breaks.
But if we're dealing with the reality, which is they're not going to be in the repeater year after year after year after year, breaking the cycle is probably a pretty smart idea.
And honestly, like they still have the flexibility to use some of it and not have to go over. Like they don't have to fully cheap out on it. And it's like you said, there's not a lot of candidates for the MLE either. So if there's nobody that they really consider, nobody that they really like, then I can understand being at least a little bit hesitant. Like if you take Jonas's number out of their salary cap sheet right now, I see them having 10 million, just under 10 million in space under the luxury tax. So you split that 10 million up between two different guys and you're fine. Like it's not that crazy as long as you get a decent backup center.
Bradley Beal or Chris Paul?
Chris Paul.
Okay.
Like you have fully converted me. That there's one guy who gets buckets and there's one guy that helps his team win. And I think I would rather have CP3. And so would the Suns, by the way.
So I kind of give my thoughts on it. Do you want them to play hardball and just keep Val?
I don't know what I want. Like what I really wanted was to be able to cover a team that was like, oh yeah, they could win 60. And Valanciunas was supposed to be the catalyst for that in a lot of ways because of his ability to like have 48 minutes of really good center play, which is just something that Denver has not had in a long time. So that's a new wrinkle that I think it would be pretty cool if they had. But it's still the least important position in Denver's rotation. It really is. Like the backup center position is still the least important because you have the 3-time MVP, because he has the capability to play 32, 36, 40 minutes on any given night. Do you want to have to do that? No. Is it worth like strong arming Jonas Valanciunas to stay in Denver and potentially ruining what could be a really great opportunity in a down year around the NBA? That could be tough. So like I think they have to approach this thing with maximizing value as much as they can. But I'm not sure what that means.
I'm gonna make a suggestion that I don't want to, and I will do whatever I have to. Knock on wood, jinx, cross my fingers, whatever you want. Joker's got a lot of miles on him. Having a backup center that's ready to go for a month in the starting spot that you can reasonably not duplicate his skill set, but duplicate his body and play type with is immensely valuable, I think.
It is. But then when you think about the healthy situation for the team and what it would ultimately return back to, especially kind of in a playoff context, that's where the balance has kind of been. Like Calvin Booth punted on the backup center position. That's something that like he effectively said that he was doing. And now I think Denver's really trying, like, especially over the course of the last year, they realized that's tough. Need somebody back who can actually help there. So I would love to have Valanciunas in because I think that he would really help the Nuggets. I do. I think that would be great. You're muted.
Okay, we didn't get to cover this because of the holiday and everything else that was going on, so we caught you up on that. Honestly, part of me was like, well, let's wait, because surely it'll resolve itself in 24 hours, and then it just didn't. Whenever this gets resolved, we'll do an episode, and we'll catch up on what's going on. We'll talk about more stuff throughout the week. I want to get to some stuff about Bruce Brown and Cam Johnson and their fit together on the floor. I want to talk about kind of what we're looking at, as well as, hey, guess what? Summer League starts this week, so we'll start talking about the Nuggets, Summer League, De'Ron Holmes, all the crew, all the kinds of stuff. Check out Ryan's coverage over at Mile High Sports. I'm over at the Denver Dig. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets.